ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। भगवते वासुदेवाय। Recite together. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयामुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा। We welcome you all for the morning Srimad Bhagavatam session, and we have been reading first canto, 7th chapter and 31st verse, 1.7.31. So first we will recite few words so that it is easier for all of us to recite. Drishtva अस्त्र तेजस्तु तयो त्रीन् लोकान् प्रदहत् महत् दह्यमाना प्रजा सर्वा सांवर्तकम् अमंसत। दृष्ट्वास्त्र तेजस्तु तयोस् त्रिलोकान् प्रदहन् महत् दह्यमाना प्रजा सर्वा सांवर्तकम् अमंसत। दृष्ट्वास्त्र तेजस्तु तयोस् त्रिलोकान् प्रदहन् महत् दह्यमाना प्रजा सर्वा सांवर्तकम् अमंसत। दृष्ट्वास्त्र तेजस्तु तयोस् त्रिलोकान् प्रदहन् महत् दह्यमाना प्रजा सर्वा सांवर्तकम् अमंसत। Yes, devotees. दृष्ट्वास्त्रतेजस्तु तयोस्
त्रिलोकान् प्रदहन् महत् दह्यमाना प्रजा सर्वा सांवर्तकाम् अमं शत
Someone else.
दृष्ट्वास्त्रतेजस्तु तयोस्
त्रिलोकान् प्रदहन् महत् दह्यमाना प्रजा सर्वा सांवर्तकम् अमं सत
Someone online? Anyone would like to recite online? You can go ahead. Yes, Mataji, please.
दृष्ट्वास्त्रतेजस्तु
तयोस्
त्रिलोकान् प्रदहन् महत् दह्यमाना प्रजा सर्वः सांवर्तकम् अमं सत
Okay, thank you very much. Word to word meaning. Drishtva, the seeing. Astra, weapon. Tejah, heat. Tu, but. Tayo, of both. Treen, three. Lokan, planets. Pradahat, blazing. Mahat, severely. Dahyamana, burning. Praja, population. Sarva, all over. Samvartakam, the name of the fire which devastates during the annihilation of the universe. Amam Sata, began to think. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. All the population of the three worlds was scorched by the combined heat of the weapons. Everyone was reminded of the Samvartaka fire, which takes place at the time of annihilation. Purport. The three worlds are the upper, lower, and intermediate planets of the universe. Although the Brahmastra was released on this earth, the heat produced by the combination of both weapons covered all the universe, and all the populations on all the different planets began to feel the heat excessively and compared it to that of the Samvartak fire. No planet therefore is without living beings, as less intelligent materialistic men think. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitansha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna. So, first of all, my humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas, senior Vaishnavas sitting here. So, and His Grace Madan Sundar Guruji, so that they bless me that the opportunity given here is to serve, considering oneself a servant. So I may serve you by sharing whatever I have learned while practicing devotional service. So please bless me that whatever I speak is in parampara. Hare Krishna. So this episode is particularly very important for us to learn the childish nature of Ashwatthama and surrender of Arjuna. So if you see the episode here, this is very similar to Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was challenged internally. Internal challenges were there to face his own kinsman, his brother, his relatives. For what? He doesn't want to fight there, right? So there were internal challenges and he gave so many reasons not to fight. And here, again Arjuna is there. He's not reasoning, right? And for your kind information, this all is happening after hearing Bhagavad Gita. As per Mahabharata sequence, Mahabharata is over now, right? 18 days are over. And this is just at the end of 18th day that he has killed the sons of Pandavas, 5 sons, right? And after that he is running away in fear of his own death, because he understood this is very wrong. Even Duryodhana, his master, condemned him a lot, right? So considering this, there is a challenge in front of Arjuna, because when he was chasing, Pradhan Priya Prabhu, this is, yeah, I want to. I think we do not need that. Why? Hare Krishna. Am I audible? Yes. Thank you. So similarity is there in terms of surrender, which we all look for, and which seems very difficult at the times, especially when we understand that we are weak or we have committed some mistake. So the episode of Bhagavad Gita shows his surrender when he was internally challenged. Here, internal challenge is not there, but still there is surrender of Arjuna. Just think of yourself. You are very much powerful. You have learned so many arts, archery skills, weaponry science you have. You have learned from demigods themselves. You have got a special weapon from Indra, Shiva. And just after that, the enemy also in front of you, to whom you want to subdue, is very poor. There is no comparison between Arjuna and Ashwatthama in terms of skills. Because if you learn through Mahabharata also, then you will understand that Ashwatthama was favored by Dronacharya because of affection and attachment also, being the son of Dronacharya. But still, because at that time teachers were so equipoised towards students that he had that affection, attachment, but he did not, teach everything to Ashwatthama, considering that he is not worthy enough to learn. Even if he learns, he will not be able to use it properly. He is not wise enough. He doesn't have sense control. Like you have seen here in the last verses when Brahman Prabhu was sharing, that he used weapon. Why it is called childish nature of Ashwatthama? Because like child, if you give something special to them, they do not know how to use. Out of surprise, they might do something with it. But ultimately, either it would be devastating for that child himself or the people sitting around. So, like we have heard from Prabhupada a lot that if a child wants to cook along with mother, then there is a request, constant request from child. What? Mother, I want to cook, I want to cook, I want to cook. But mother knows, well, she understands that there is a fire, immediate danger is there. So in that case, what happens? A playground is given, right? Considering that if she does something wrong, that child does something wrong, then it would be devastating for that child or also other people, because they might get suffered also because of that incident. Similarly here, Ashwatthama, without knowing the consequence, what he did? He used such a weapon which was actually used for devastating the whole universe, as we can see here Prabhupada writing in the previous verses also. But he still used. Why? Because out of fear. So this incident is considered like childish nature of Ashwatthama. And another part which I am sharing is about Arjuna. He was highly skilled, highly competitive in terms of weaponry science. So when he saw that light, he could not understand because it was fired from further end. So he could not understand what is coming at me, why there is so much effulgence. But considering that here is Keshava, here is Krishna, he immediately surrendered. So that's what we can learn from this incident, that whenever we find any danger, then it is natural for a servant or for a disciple or for a student to take shelter of his teacher. Some people might say, oh, it is for bodily need. Someone might say that this is for the bodily need, this is not the bhakti. But Sri Rupa Goswami himself has taught in his famous verse of bhakti, where bhakti is defined, Anyavilasita sunyam gyan karmadhyana vratam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttama. So there it is used, anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktiruttama, right? Anyavilasita sunyam gyan karmadhyana vratam. So ita word is used there, which indicates that, like the case of Draupadi, externally it seems it was for protection of her body, but that was the imminent danger. And it is natural for a son or a daughter to reach out to his mother or father. So in the same case, Draupadi reached out to Krishna for saving herself. Similar what we see here is Arjuna. Finding the immediate danger, he found that Keshava is here, who is the ultimate protector. So he surrendered. So at least this much we can learn: whenever there is danger, we should at least surrender. In other cases, anyway we are expected to surrender ourselves, our desires, to serve the higher purpose or to follow properly this path of bhakti devotional service. So these two things which we can learn are, we should not be childish whenever we have some power like Ashwatthama, and we should also look for some authority or surrender whenever we find that that person is our nearby. And that helps actually. In the case of Arjuna, what happened in previous verses? Why I am going to these verses? Because these last 4 verses, 27, 8, 29, 30, 31, connected. Incident is just same, just things are happening. Sud Goswami is explaining. So here we see that Arjuna surrendered himself, right? And what happened because of that surrender? Krishna immediately protected, like mother or father immediately, protects their child. So Krishna immediately told that this is Brahmastra. First time this word used, because before that nobody could understood from seeing that effulgence what it is. So Krishna immediately wrote, this is Brahmastra. You see this Tejas? You have seen already that in Mahabharata Tejasa. So that was Astra and Tejas is used there. So it actually means that Krishna was telling Arjuna that you have already seen, this is Brahmastra. And then he saw the fear in Arjuna. So that means he also needs solution, not just information. So Krishna also gave solution. So what was the solution he gave? That if you want to counteract this, there is no other option. Only one option is there. And what is that? To use another Brahmastra. So that suggestion also came from Krishna, that you can only counteract with this weapon. Do not use any other weapon like Varunastra, Indrastra, because there is no match between Brahmastra, Varunastra and any other weapon. So the only match is what? Brahmastra. So this happens with us. If we seek guidance, if we surrender ourselves, then we get solution also, we get information also, and we are actually saved from the biggest danger for us. Like in the case of here, Krishna suggested Brahmastra, and we see our Acharya, our seniors, Parampara Acharya has suggested Namastra. There is a great connection between these two. Brahmastra, Prabhupada write in 28th verse purport that this power which can actually devastate the whole universe is still material. So when material power, which is very subtle, there Prabhupada compares it with the atomic bombs. When compared with atomic bombs, there is no comparison of any other weapon what we know right now, right? Whatever we have heard of in present day and age, the highest or topmost weapon we understand is atomic bomb. And still Prabhupada saying this highest weapon which this human race possesses, that cannot devastate even this earth planet. What to speak of universe? But more powerful than that is Brahmastra. And how it is used? With the power of mantra. So in the previous time, even recently, I have seen, I don't know how much impact it made, but I have personally seen that few people, the place I live is not that urban. It's mixed like town, it is not proper city and also not village. So I have seen personally, if I go 20 years back when I was still 10 years old, then I see that I have seen if somebody got bitten by scorpion or bitten by snake, तो वो झाड़ फूक वाले के पास ले जाते, right? Some person, तांत्रिक और बाबा, and they will not cure physically, they'll just use some mantras, and I have seen that people getting cured. So I'll not go into details that science, how is it, but we can understand from this incident. Therefore Prabhupada many times uses, snake, if somebody is having snake bite, then that cure is some mantra. Through mantra that poison is removed. Similarly for us, so many snake, scorpion bites are there. At least in terms of 6, if devotee is practicing, he can understand. 6 bites constantly are there. What are those? Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsar. If we are not practicing, we will not understand these are snake bites or scorpion bites. It feels like, this is nectar. Like I used to play cricket, so having aggressive nature, considering oneself very powerful, is like nectarian, and people worships outside us. Hey, how much passionate that person is, right? And they appreciate also if you bring results. But when you come into the bhakti, then you understand. When you start practicing, then there is some understanding, little understanding. Oh, this is hazardous for my devotional service. It brings so much passion. Passion itself is not that much problem. But when passion is there, then strong desire is there to dominate. Then also there is false pride. I am the best. So then slowly we start understanding, oh, this problem is there. And if somebody is practicing very nicely, like we see in the life of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, what I have heard and read, if somebody is sitting on the table chair, right, then he would feel okay. But if we found that his friend in one of the restaurant, he was serving, he could not fathom that how can I sit and take some service from my friend himself. For me that was unimaginable, that what will happen? I'll laugh and I'll make fun out of him. But see the difference, when somebody is having soft heart, like devotees like Srila Prabhupada, there was so much opulence in America. But when he saw that actually there is no bhakti, how much they are passionate for sex, how much passionate they are for intoxication, meat eating, he could feel the pain for them. Because he understood ultimately this is going to give them pain. Similarly, when one practices, he understands these 6 are the enemies. So then it feels like snake bites or scorpion bites, which actually pinches a lot if we do something wrong, or if we have acted in the false pride, then it feels like. So the remedy for these snake bites, scorpion bites is mantra, right? Which is still physical. the cure for this material devastation is Brahmastra. Similarly, for us practicing devotees, we should have at least this much faith that for all such anxieties of whether it's pain of snake bites, scorpion bites, whether it is devastation by Brahmastra, and internally if we see pain of those 6 bites of Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad, Matsar, ultimately it is Namastra which can help us. That much faith we should have. I remember one incident when we read Srila Prabhupada Leelamrit, or we read Antilila of Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. They mention particular incident of Prabhupada lying down in the bed in his last 2 months at Sri Vrindavan Dham. There, one of his senior god brother, Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj, he used to visit, and he was having a hilarious style of saying Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Maharaj tells very nicely in his audiobook when we hear Journey Home. So there he shares that when he used to come to visit, so one day it happened so that Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj had come, and also Bon Maharaj had come. So there he asked him, see, you were also sent by our Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Sudhi Thakur, to foreign land. And he was also sent. But he got so much success and you did not. What is the reason? So there was a discussion. I'll come to the conclusion part. So he mentioned 2 things about Srila Prabhupada which was as special. First thing, he had firm faith for serving his spiritual master. Whatever were the words of his spiritual master, he followed that diligently. And second thing, he told he had very great respect and firm conviction on the holy name. That by this holy name, everything will come. And that happened. Prabhupada did Sankirtan at Tompkins Square Park, and everything manifested there. Similarly, if we'll have understanding and firm faith on this Namastra, what we have got, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So if we know and understand the power of this Namastra with conviction and faith, then there is a hope for us. Like there is cure for Brahmastra, and there is also cure for snake bite and scorpion bites. So with the help of this Namastra, we can have cure, right? So this was just for the setting the scene. Now we understand in which context this is coming. And coming to the purport of Srila Prabhupada, now we'll learn few technical things and also understand Prabhupada's heart. That how did he, when I was going through the lecture of Srila Prabhupada, there are lectures for 30th and 31st verse. So there is a particular very wonderful sequence in which Prabhupada gave that lecture. So I would like to touch upon those things. First we will read purport again. The 3 worlds are the upper, lower and intermediate planets of the universe. Although Brahmastra was released on this earth, the heat produced by the combination of both weapons covered all the universe. So first thing here is technicality is of Brahmastra, which we were mentioning that Brahmastra is not like atomic bomb. It is far more powerful because it's subtler. Subtler the energy is, more powerful it becomes, right? Like in the case of, we discussed just that we all understand atomic energy compared to gross weapons like we call hand grenade or guns like SRs or AK-47. The damage you can do compared to this atomic bomb is far more, right? But still it is gross. But the kind of technique is used is very subtle, right? Atomic energy is because of fission and fusion. There are 2 processes. And here in this case it is fission which is uncontrolled. Controlled way is like we have atomic reactors where we can produce energy. But when uncontrolled, then there is fully devastating effect. So Brahmastra is subtle, therefore it is far more powerful. In this context, same thing will come. The heat produced by the combination of both weapons covered all the universe. And all the population on all the different planets began to feel the heat excessively and compared it to that of Samvartaka. So there comes Samvartaka fire. So if any one of you know, there are different kind of pralay, right? So in Vishnu Purana it is mentioned, And Jeev Goswami also states Prabhupada also quotes Jeev Goswami, and Jeev Goswami states Vishnu Puran in terms of pralaya. 3 pralayas are given. One is Naimittik pralaya, and then is Atyantika pralaya and Prakritik pralaya, right? So Naimittik pralaya, here it is. So Naimittik pralaya is like what happens at the end of day of Brahma, which is the Kalp. 12 hours of day of Brahma, when it happens and night is about to come, then pralaya happens. That is called Naimittik pralaya. And Samvartak fire also comes at that time. Then there is Prakritik pralaya. Why? Prakritik pralaya is the end of actually this whole cosmos, when everything just is withdrawn within the body of Mahavishnu, end of Brahma. And there is Atyantik pralaya. And Atyantik pralaya is actually in relation to a Jiva. When Jiva has fulfilled its purpose, for a Brahmavadi it is Brahman, right, or Moksha, and for a devotee it is going back to Godhead, Vaikuntha or Goloka, and serving there. So here this context is in the terms of Naimittik pralaya, which is Samvartak fire. So that fire is such that it burns everything from lower planetary system to some upper planetary system, not the whole in terms of a day of Brahma, because Brahma is still living. So we can understand with common sense that at least Brahmalok will not be destroyed with that pralaya. So that is Naimittik pralaya. So why I was comparing this with our upper part, Brahmastra, subtle science. So here if Prabhupada mentions in his lecture that how this Samvartaka fire comes. So he mentions that first, when things will not be good, then people will stop doing things properly, as mentioned in scriptures, especially pious things or things which are very important for the sustenance and maintenance of living entities. And that is we hear from Bhagavad Gita, right? Yagya sishta sana santo muchante sarva kilvarsaya, right? So because of yagya, everything, every living entity is maintained, right? And what happens when somebody does some yagya, then devtas are satisfied. They get their part and parcel bonus, or they get their credit, right? From piety done here, they get some credits there. And they get, like we here in Pitri Paksha, when you offer oblations to Pitri, then they get food at Pitri Lok, right? Similarly, when you do yagyas, then because of those oblations on the name of Indra, Brahma, Indra, Shiva, and other, Shiva is also, I think, deprived of. So what we hear, but all the demigods get their power and their credits to maintain themselves there. So yagyas right now we can see nobody is doing, hardly at any home. Personally, I have seen my mother doing some yagya. I don't know which mantra or what, but she does some, with the cow dung and everything. And some temples you might see, so they are doing something, some pious work is going on. But when the Kali Yuga end will come, then what will happen? No such oblations. People even will not know what and how yagya is performed. Then at that moment what will happen? There would be no credits available. So first thing what happens when credits are not there? Because Jiva need to sustain on food, and food is generated from rain. So first thing, rain will stop. As soon as rain will stop, there will be dryness, no water. Then Prabhupada mentions that because of no rain, there would be devastation, first partial devastation. Living entities would be dying, killing each other. Then what will happen? Sun will become more, powerful in terms of providing heat. So in that terms, 12 times it is mentioned that sun, what we face right now at 12 noon, the amount of heat we face is in summer, that would be like 12 times. That much blazing heat and fire would be there. And जैसे यहाँ पे हिंदी में यदि आप पढ़ेंगे तो लिखा है लोग जल भुन गए. प्रभुपाद का जो ट्रांसलेशन हिंदी का उसमें लिखे, एक्चुअल में जले भुने नहीं, लोग इतना हीट था कि उनको फील हो रहा था कि बॉडी बर्न हो रहा है. तो ऐसे 12 times when that heat would be there of sun, then people would be anyway killed or burned. And then Prabhupada mentions amazing thing. He says, nobody understands this, but actually everyone sees this. After the excessive heat, water comes. How can you fathom it? When so much heat is there, then everything is done. But even in our life, we see that when summer is there, so much heat is there, then people automatically say now barish achhi hogi. Kisan knows that, farmer knows that. If there is too much heat, then definitely water will be also very nice. Rain would be very nice. So Prabhupada mentions, because so much heat was there, therefore water will automatically come. Then that we hear that water and flood would be inundating the whole Bhuvarlok, at least 2 planetary systems. See, he does not mention these 2 that I have read, but Prabhupada says that planetary systems will be inundated with water. So there is that purpose, that we have heard that from subtle comes gross, right? So from ether comes sky, from sky comes fire, and from fire comes water, and from water comes earth. So which is more powerful? You can see here, right? So fire is more powerful because it's subtler than water, right? So here also we can understand that mantra science, because it is based on sound, power of sound. It is not gross weapon, स्थूल कोई प्रक्रिया नहीं है. Because it is gross weapon, then therefore it is very powerful. So similarly in terms of samvartak fire, that fire, after that water will come, then everything will be inundated, and then further Vedas would be kept with Lord himself, and whatever we read in different kalpas like mean sarira, Keshav Dita, mean sarira, Prabhupada quoted that then Lord comes and saves whoever is left, right? And another interesting thing is also given that even up to the state of Swarglok, everyone will be, done with this fire. People of Maharlok also will run after Satyalok and Brahmalok for saving themselves. Such would be fire. So now why I am giving so much information on this, so that you can understand, that this fire is not normal. Like in the case of Govardhan, we had heard that the water rain droplets were coming not like droplets, what we see. We stand here in a balcony and see so much nice rain is coming. It feels really nice, greenery outside, and we can see droplets are going like this, sometimes rainbow is also there. But in the Govardhan Leela, here it is explained, Samvartaka rain, clouds, water was not like rain droplets, it was like column of rains, and it is compared to the trunk of elephant. You see the size of leg of elephant? That kind of columns of water were coming down. So within few moments everything is inundated. So that kind of fire is there. So in this context, it was not normal catastrophe or normal problem for Arjuna, that he had suddenly seen some effulgence and he is getting bewildered. Arey kya karna hai Bhagwan bataiye. But it was very big challenge. So much heat, so much effulgence. He could not understand what has happened. And then he took shelter, and finally Krishna gave solution. And he used another weapon, Brahmastra. But when they two came together, at that moment what happened? So much heat and effulgence was there, which was actually burning everyone. And then comes the powerful punch of Srila Prabhupada. Last line. No planet therefore is without living beings, as less intelligent materialistic men think. So I was hearing Maharaj also. Maharaj has given lecture on these 4 verses. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj. So he was also saying that if you read any other commentary, then no other Acharya has written like that, what Prabhupada has written. There is, because at that time there was no understanding that people will think there is no life in other planets, right? But here, understanding the situation at that moment, scientists commenting, atheistic people commenting, what he commented immediately. Do not think, see here it is mentioned, not only people on this earth, on all planets, therefore in all planets there is life. You cannot deny that. And then Prabhupada comes to in his lecture he comes to the theme of theism and atheism. So generally when we say, if I ask you, devotee sitting here, what would you say? Who is theist and who is atheist? Especially atheist, who do you say who is atheist? Anyone can raise a hand and then they can share. Yes, bro. Who is atheist?
One who doesn't believe in Vedic scriptures or the
Ye-
mentioned.
Yes, this is very important. Generally we are taught, I remember, हिंदी में बोलते हैं कि एक शब्द का बारे में व्याख्या करिए, डेफिनेशन दीजिए, परिभाषा दीजिए. तो वहाँ पूछा जाता है कि नास्तिक कौन है और आस्तिक कौन है, हु इज़ थीस्ट एंड हु इज़ अथीस्ट. तो वहाँ वेदों का नाम नहीं आता है. वहाँ पे भी ऐसा घोटाला किया गया है कि वहाँ पे बोला जाता है कि जो भगवान को नहीं मानता. भगवान का मतलब सब जगह पे अलग अंडरस्टैंडिंग है. वेदों को इम्पोर्टेंस नहीं दी जाती. बट वेन एवर प्रभुपाद कोट्स और चैतन्य महाप्रभु ऑल्सो कोट्स, आई हैव taken that because Prabhupada quotes that. So Prabhupada mentions वेदना मानिया बुद्ध हयत नास्तिक. चैतन्य चरितामृत मध्य लीला 6.168. वेदना मानिया बौद्ध हयत नास्तिक. So here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives the definition of Nastik, atheist. Nastik means one who does not believe in the statement of the Vedas. So that is the starting point for us, because so much information is there, so much about creation done by Brahma, so much about planetary system in Srimad Bhagavatam. So automatically it comes, अरे ये तो दिया है, पता नहीं सच है कि नहीं. First we need to understand and accept all those details that is true. Whatever given in the Vedas is true. Then our natural inclination and faith will come on the Lord also, His form also. And then Prabhupada, in quoting this, he also quotes that why Nastik or atheist is not believing in God, because actually he does not believe in the form of the Lord. And why he does not believe? Because he is having no understanding of all these things created by Lord. Right? Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. He quotes Shankaracharya also. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Very famous quote. Because they do not believe in the form of Lord, which is actually true. Absolute truth is a person. Therefore they say that the creation of that Supreme is also false. Because he is also false in that way. Because nobody has seen him. He is not having a form. He is there. Absolute truth is there. Knowledge is there. But he is not a form. He is not a person. Therefore everything created from him is also not true. False. And they do not understand and accept all these truths. So Prabhupada actually, half of his lecture he gives on this only. How and what is impersonalism, how it permeates and pervades in all of our understanding, and how we have to avoid. So the solution is here. At least first we have to start believing and understanding that whatever is given in the Vedas, Shastras, we have to accept it. Even if our tiny brain cannot understand, we have to bring that understanding, right? We have to bring that understanding that, okay, right now, like in the starting when you study your science, you come to know in 7th, 8th, 9th class somewhere that electron is there, proton is there, right? Neutron is there. You haven't seen. You haven't even observed the effect also. And most of the teaching is done on the basis of effect only. There is no actual seeing and touching, right? But still everyone believes and accepts, there it is. And what is the faith? Faith is our parents, faith is our teacher, and faith is the system. ओ इतने सारे लोग पढ़ के निकल रहे हैं, मेरे माता पिता ने स्कूल में भेजा है, मेरे भैया भी पढ़ के निकले हैं, वो भी यही बोलते हैं, टीचर भी यही बोलते हैं, which means हाँ होगा सच. Initially we have some shraddha and faith, and then we accept, oh this is right, and then we carry forward, right? And later on in our stages, somebody is actually going in the scientific field, or up to 11, 12, some experiment we see, cathode ray tube, right, anode ray tube, and we see some experiments, we see bulb and everything. Then from that scientific context we used to see the world. Similarly, in the case of learning Vedas, if we are in this proper setting, at least for us, all of us practicing devotees, there might be many things which we do not understand, or we cannot understand, because we cannot understand everything. That's how Krishna is, right? We cannot understand everything about him. He is supreme. So at least we can do that. We see so many of our acharyas following, we see our seniors are following, we are seeing the effect, we are understanding internal challenges, we understand that so much transformation is there, people are doing everything, following everything. At least with this context, whatever we read, we can understand, okay, right now I am not able to understand it, but one day with the help of mercy of Acharya, with the help of other devotees, one day I'll understand. If with this this approach or this Shraddha, if we accept the details and things given in Shastras, that one day there is a hope, because we have not negated and we have accepted our inability to understand everything also, right? Then there is a hope that those details which are not fathomable for our tiny brain, one day we can understand that that is true. So Shraddha needs to be developed on the basis of Vedas. Like Shastri Shraddha is actually the Shraddha. Adav Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sang, Bhajan Kriya, Anarth Nivritti. These stages are there for a Bhakta practicing Bhakti. Then that Shraddha is described, is actually Shraddha on what? Shraddha on Shastras, scriptures. And scriptures means everything. Such things will come, Sambartaka fire, right? Certain things will come like Brahmastra. No understanding. We haven't seen anything. Chanted mantra and certain things are happening. Very difficult, right? But if we have this Shastri Shraddha, if we have faith that Vedas are right, so much we can see practicing devotees are there, so much impact transformation is there based on Vedas, then definitely the knowledge given in the Vedas is also correct, right? And then one more thing which I would like to read as it is about Prabhupada's lecture on this verse and in this context. Prabhupada very nicely told that so much impersonalism is there because we do not understand or accept that he is having a form, because so many things we cannot understand, especially this is told in the context of those who are jnanis, trying to understand even in the Vedas, even in the Bhagavad Gita, even in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So with our tiny brain we cannot understand everything. Then that comes that how do we understand then? What is the solution? So solution Prabhupada gives, if you want to know absolute truth, God, then you have to take to bhakti, right? Bhakti, devotional process. And what does it mean, bhakti? Bhakti means there must be Bhagavan. If you are saying servant, automatically what comes? Master. If there is no master, then there is no meaning of servant. And as soon as master and servants are there, then there will be some mutual process, right? For reciprocation. And what is that? Service, seva, bhakti, which Prabhupada defines. Service means, seva means bhakti, and bhakti means loving devotional service, right? So then Prabhupada says bhakti means there must be Bhagwan. Otherwise, what is the meaning of bhakti? If I want, bhakti means to render service. So if the master is not there, then where is the question of bhakti and service? It is all bogus. Bhakti means three things: Bhakt, Bhagwan, and the mutual reciprocation, which is service. And that itself is bhakti. They are individual. Bhagwan is individual. Bhakt is individual. And the reciprocation of dealings between two individuals is called bhakti. So this is the last almost paragraph where Prabhupada ends. That solution for this is, if we are not able to understand this Brahmastra, Samvartaka, this weapon, that particular character in that Ramayana, this, that, so many details are there. For some people it is mind-boggling, and for some it is, some details are there, not relevant for me. But please understand, everything includes bhakti. Having faith from Shastra's scriptures up to actually serving Krishna, having that hope that actually we'll get chance to serve Lord one day. Everything is included in bhakti. So we have to start somewhere. So why not to start with having faith on Shastra's bhakti, right? So many details will come in further chapters. When you will come to 3rd canto, 5th canto, details would be mind-boggling. You cannot understand what all are there. But having that faith that my brain is tiny, it cannot understand everything, but the things which are given is correct, right? And one day I'll understand with the service, with seeing my authority, from hearing them, from hearing acharyas. One day everything will make sense. So thank you very much. That's what I could share. Thank you very much. If anyone is having any question, you can ask. I'll try to answer. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I was thinking that you talked about passion. So, in the life of a pure devotee or surrendered soul, what role does passion play? So, uh, are they free from passion, or is it passion required in bhakti? How do we correlate these things?
For myself, I can say, but first, Prabhuji, Anantram Prabhuji has asked question. So it's about passion, right? So for pure devotees, I do not know, but what I have seen, like pure devotee for means like Prabhupada disciples, for Prabhupada himself, all the acharyas. So passion means putting all our efforts to have results, considering result, but not being attached to it. Like Prabhupada wrote so many books, so much passion would be needed to gather information, then write it, then bring it into the publication. You see how Prabhupada dealt with Chaitanya Charitamrita book publication team, Rameshwar Bro. So much pressure he had put on them to publish it within time. So those things you see actually in corporate world. What I have seen with my managers and seniors, everywhere you would have observed all the IT fellas that yes, so much passion is there to get the result. So for devotee, if that result, that process itself is for pleasing Krishna, his Guru Parampara, then that is relevant. And if you ask like for people like us, then I can give my example, not to anything great, but example like we have kitchen services, Varun Prabhu and me and other teams. If cooks is not having passion that within time we have to prepare this dish, it should be right. So much effort is put that everything is passion, and we have to also think कि taste अच्छा आना चाहिए. नहीं आएगा तो then where would it go? So for me, my understanding personally is passion means whatever service is given, I have to put my best and result को ध्यान में रखते हुए. अब रिजल्ट नहीं आएगा आएगा वो बाद में पता चलेगा, सामने वाला प्लीज़ नहीं होगा होगा नहीं पता, बट उसको ध्यान में रख के एफर्ट तो डालना पड़ेगा. लाइक आउटसाइड कर्मी पुट्स देयर एफर्ट्स, राइट, फॉर सेविंग देयर एम्प्लॉयमेंट. So for us to please our authority and to continue serving and having more services, we need to bring result, we need to put efforts. So for me that is passion. And for pure devotees, what I shared, that it's for pleasing. Their always consciousness is high. They always want to please Krishna, their Acharya, their Guru Maharaj. So one day we are also expected to do that. Right now I am not. Hare Krishna.
Thanks, Prabhuji.
Yes. Anyone online? Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Medhavni Mataji, you can ask your question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandat Pranam. Thank you very much for
Hare
the
Krishna.
session. I put my question in the chat box before. Would you like me to read or?
Mataji, you please read because I have not opened Zoom here.
Okay. So I just read out what I've written. Hare Krishna, Sri Sanatan Pr, Dandat Pranam. Thank you for your very wonderful session. It's so many references from scriptures. And Srila Prabhupada and so many Radhanath Swami Maharaj's classes. It was like getting 3 to 4 lectures, summary combined. Thank you. My query is that in South India, everyone thinks that they have studied the Vedas, especially the Bhagavad Gita. They feel they know everything. So how can we share with them in a way that we don't offend them, that their understanding, the real understanding is whatever it can be, that they understand it is not about reading the scriptures, but to hear the scriptures from a bona fide authority. Please advise. I hope my question is clear.
Yeah,
So my question
Mataji
is,
should.
Prabhu, is,
Yes. Two things I could understand in your question, that how to share this knowledge with those who have read actually Bhagavad Gita and scriptures, right? First part is this, how to share it, and second part you can please speak again. Second part of the question.
How to convey the message?
so how do we
without
speak to
offending
such people
Okay,
to make
without-
them understand that it is more important to hear from a bona fide authority?
Okay, bringing them the faith
They
that it should be heard from. Okay,
They memorize the concepts,
okay.
but they don't know it. How to do it.
So, Mataji, myself, I really struggle in sharing in a proper way, but I think Prabhuji can share in a better way. So, what I meant to say that the challenge also I have faced that when people say that they know already, like sometimes I'll give one example for just touching few details, how do we need to deal with them. Sometimes people comes and they ask certain questions, right, which are not actually to have answers. They actually want to share their knowledge and they want to check us. Do you know this? I have read this. Do you know this? So in that case, first thing, at least being a devotee, we can say if we do not know, say I do not know. And second thing, what I generally do, I also ask them one question which is relevant to that topic also. Like whenever we go outside and discuss someone about Bhagavad Gita, then naturally one response comes, हाँ Krishna ने बोला है, work is worship, right? So I immediately ask, do you know that verse, कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते? There are 4 more instructions. Ma phalesu kadachan, ma karma phal heturbhur. So at least I make them little feel ki there are more details in application. You might be knowing by fact or information, but when it comes to application, there is more. Like Prabhupada always quotes that those trees which are filled with fruits, they are always humble. So first we should deal with them in humility. Then we can, if they are really boasting, if they are really sharing too much details that they know this, that they are quoting, then we can say there is also application, right? Like I have heard many devotees in my time, like Praneshwar Prabhuji in Indore, somebody came, we were traveling to Vrindavan, so one person came and he was sharing so many things. मेरे तो मन में हमेशा राम चलता रहता है, ये वो, you know, all those, and he was chewing the तंबाकू and गुटखा. So Prabhuji just simply told, हाँ बहुत अच्छा है, होना चाहिए हमारे साथ, आपको तंबाकू भी छोड़ना चाहिए तो और आपको रस आएगा और आप और जान पाएंगे. After that, that person did not speak anything. When he understood कि I am doing something wrong, but saying big things but not following the basics. So that thing generally I do when I deal with such people who are too much, especially if they are boasting. But in your context, it could be your family members, it could be someone who are not like that, very humble. Then in that case, only by your example you can, do something. Otherwise, it's very much nearly impossible, because they'll only follow when they see some changes within us. Like initially I told that was not out of humility, it was reality. I could not preach to my brother, my sister, my mother. There are certain things which they know I have been telling them, but they are not doing, and I expect one day they'll do. Why? Because how do we convey it is true. So that's why I had asked Mother Sundar Prabhuji if he can share something. So please, if you can share.
I'll speak first on the question which he asked. Any kind of pride is dangerous. At times we have a cultural pride. When you talk about South India, people are in general more cultured in compared to North India. We have more temples. We have a great acharyas like Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, and of course a great influence of Shankaracharya. So that sense that we belong to that heritage, which means we know better. That becomes difficult. A similar thing you see in Uttar Pradesh. कृष्णा भी हमारे घर के, राम भी हमारे घर के, तो कोई सुनता नहीं है वहाँ पर. It all comes from one understanding that I know, it belongs to me. And when and how this old tea, because this had been a huge challenge for a long, long time. They do everything very nice. They follow 4 regulatory principles, very nice. But when it comes to tea and coffee, somehow they don't see any harm in it. Even the pujaris who are worshipping in the temples, connected to Sri Vaishnava Parampara and all that, somehow they don't see a challenge into that. And it could be just because maybe the acharyas and the Parampara have not emphasized. I don't know the details, but that's a fact over there. They follow everything very ritualistic, very strict in regulations and everything. But one thing, tea and coffee is a great struggle. In our case, Srila Prabhupada did not leave any space of if and but. It was very clear what to do, what not to do. So when we hear Srila Prabhupada's instruction and go back to them, then becomes a little bit of difficulty. How do we understand? We are told not to drink tea and coffee, but they drink tea and coffee. But the concept of tea and coffee is, it creates a sense of addiction. Your mind becomes addicted. You cannot live without it. That's how it becomes intoxication. That was the whole idea of Prabhupada. Apart from that, tea and coffee doesn't have that kind of a a dangerous consequence. It doesn't have that kind of dangerous consequence that it may have from illicit sex, meat eating, and gambling kind of a thing. They can destroy lives. I don't think so. People have died because of tea and coffee. Not because of tea and coffee, some kind of criminal activities have taken place. But just because it has a psychological impact, that's something which they don't take it so seriously. And that's the reason this has become a little issue for many in the South to give up the habit. And they say, and they think, you're telling us from childhood we have lived a pure life. We just started thinking about purity. We have been living pure life. So it's a little difficult issue over there. Fine. Just to Anant Rampu's question on the passion about for a pure devotee, as the Shastra says, passion is an interesting word. We have to define it in how you are seeing it in the context of Sanskrit language. If you're talking in the context of Rajas, that means Tada Rajas Tamo Bhava Kama Lobha Dayaschaye Chaitaitre Anavitam Sthatam Sattve Prasiddhiti. So a pure devotee question was for a pure devotee. He doesn't have an influence of Rajas. He doesn't function under the influence of Rajas. It's not that he may not. The Rajas and Tamoguna does not affect him. But when you talk about passion, passion is not directly translation of Rajas. Passion is in that way, we may say Srila Prabhupada was very passionate. I would not call Srila Prabhupada was passionate, I would call Srila Prabhupada was highly responsible. And that responsibility to us appears like he was passionate. When he asked his disciples to go out for book distribution or go out for Hinam Sankirtan, so somebody coming from a passionate environment of a corporate world may seem Srila Prabhupada being highly passionate and highly demanding. No, he was highly responsible because as a guru it was his responsibility to purify his disciples. And there was no other alternative for his disciples at that point of time to get purified. Even for all of us, there is no alternative to get purified. No amount of Shastra reading, no amount of chanting would purify us as much as we are fully absorbed in service. When there is no time to think anything else, then automatically we get purified. So Prabhupada pushed them go out for 6 to 8 hours so that they have no time because they didn't have the ability, the mental ability, intellectual ability to sit down, to chant, to read and hear. They didn't have the capacity because they came from a certain background. For that, Prabhupada thought, let them engage them, something similar to what they were doing. Singing and dancing. Hippies were doing that. You go and do singing and dancing for Krishna now. So it may appear as passionate, but it's not passionate. It's a highly responsible conduct. So are devotees passionate? In that way, no. Devotees are highly responsible because when you talk about passion, they're going to be a burnout. They're going to be burnout for an individual, they're going to be burnout for those who are doing it. In case of Srila Prabhupada, he never had burnout. Maybe physically the body was getting burnt out. That's because of old age, that anyway is going to happen. And that because he was hardly sleeping 3-4 hours. And similarly for devotees, were they getting burnt out? Yes, they were getting burnt out. The anathas were getting burnt out. So in that way, that's the difference. So again, how we use the word passion. So as devotees, are we passionate? As long, I would again, not passionate, we are responsible, trying to become responsible. We switch to passion when because of our conduct and our behavior, we're causing burnout to others. That's the result of passionate behavior. But when we act responsibly, then we'll not have burnout experience for oneself and for others. So that one difference we can look at it. All right, Hare Krishna. Anything else?
Hare Krishna. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय.